sdCloud project, and today I'll present the work of my colleague Alexey, who was unfortunately not able to be here in person today. And I'll talk about the execution of system dynamics model on GPUs. Can I go ahead? Thank you. So the situation is that when we're dealing with modeling, and particularly with system dynamics modeling, we are facing a lot of situations when we need to have a lot of executions of the model. So if we're using this, this can be used, for example, when we're talking about different works with optimization parameters, when we have a model and we need to find most optimal parameters for it, or when we're talking about such aspects like testing models. So not so many people do this, but this is, since we get more and more models involved in different areas, we need to do the proper testing and ensure that the model is working properly. So, can we go ahead? When we are talking about this and in a classical understanding, and we're running this on just CPUs, it means that we have a lot of computation powers, a lot of cores, a lot of memory, but we're performing the execution sequentially. We need to achieve much more level of parallelism when we're doing a lot of things. For example, especially when we need to solve the parameter optimization problem, we need to have maybe 100,000 executions with different combination of parameters to find the proper result we're actually looking at. Or we may have a huge historical data sets, and we need to ensure that the models which we are working on right now are work well in these models and so on. So for example, like we have the talk earlier, for example, different policies. We can apply many different policies and we can test on them and to see that our model is general enough and providing reasonable responses and so on. So that is why we're starting in our cloud platform experimenting with the GPUs, which allow us to have 1, 2, 3,000 of this parallel threaded of one single model with different parameters. So we're not waiting on a long queue, we have a giant number of models running in parallel. The good thing about system dynamics is in most cases we don't operate with big amounts of data, but we're producing just big amounts of data. So we don't need to load a lot on the GPUs, on video adapters or whatever. We're just producing data on them and we stream them out from there. So, and GPUs perfectly fit these needs and really work well with this parallel production of giant amount of data and do this with a very high level of parallelism. So here we go ahead. So here is some comparisons, and there are actually real pitfalls, not only benefits from it. For example, the GPUs are not work so well when we have small models or we have small number of executions. So in these cases, we still the general CPUs really work better just because they're actually doing better their job. But for example, when we're switching to the cases when we have a lot of data and we have a lot of passes or iterations, so here GPUs are really going much better going forward. So here we can see that, for example, when we're growing amount of input parameters, for example, which we need to iterate to find the results, the growth of execution time on the just CPUs grows close to exponential, but it's not a problem for the GPU, it's still flat and it's still doing well. So yeah, that's why we just experimenting a lot of this, and in our platform we start soon